David, can I start by asking you, what do you make of the job that Maurizio Pochettino has done at Chelsea this season? And just on following on that, onto that as well, the next 2 games, are they particularly critical now for your chances of getting European football?
Well, first of all, I'm not an expert on Chelsea Football Club, so there's probably people who could speak about Maurizio more than me. But I think he's had a difficult job to take on. Brought in a lot of new players, a lot of young players as well. Fitting them in, getting a lot of new players used to the Premier League as well. But unfortunately, they've started to hit a bit of form at a time when we didn't want them to hit good form, and we have them to play, and they've been playing well in recent weeks.
And you would say this game against Chelsea and the Luton one as well at home, the last home game, those 2 are really, really important, I suppose, in terms of getting positive results.
Same as the other 35 or 36 we've already played. You only get 3 points for each game, exact same. So yes, they're really important because of the time of the year it is and the importance to win the game. So we see that.
And how much would you like to get a result at the Bridge, particularly this week? And I know it's been a tough ground for you to go to. Would you say it's been one of the toughest grounds you've gone to as a manager, the Bridge?
I think all managers will say that there's a lot of tough grounds to go to. Stamford Bridge has always been difficult. They had great teams under Jose Mourinho, and some of the managers over the years who've been there, they've been really hard team to beat. But we'll go there and do everything we can to get 3 points.
Okay. Something else I need to ask you about. It's our understanding that Tim Steidten will keep his distance from the first team dressing room and here at the training ground until the end of the season. Is that to keep the players and the staff just focused on the games ahead, David?
Absolutely. We don't want any distractions. We'll keep our eye on the ball. Tim's got his job to do, I've got my job to do. We've got 3 games to play. So we want to keep focused on those games that you've been talking about.
Has that approach changed in the last sort of few weeks or so? Is that within the club? Has that been a discussion?
Sorry?
In terms of Tim's coming to the training ground and coming to the dressing room?
Just we're going about our jobs. My job's to win the games and do everything I can to do that.
Okay. And obviously West Ham have achieved so much over the last few seasons and in your time in charge as well, including that wonderful European trophy last season. Do you still have the hunger now to take the club forward going into next season, David?
Football hunger. I'm nearly a bit embarrassed you asked me that question. For you, because I'm a football nut. Love my football. Go to games, watch games. Love it, really do. So yeah, I've got a great hunger for football.
And to do it with West Ham next season?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. So you will be at West Ham next season?
I said to everybody, and you as well, and you people who work for your company as well, that we'll make a decision at the end of the season.
Let's move it on now, please.
Okay. And just last one from me, bit of a different one. Mikel Antonio has called for VAR to be banned in his podcast. Apparently he was talking about the fact that there's some vote in Sweden. Do you agree? Do you think VAR is heading in the right direction?
Why don't you ask Mickey? He would answer the question for you better than me. So yeah, you should speak to Mick.
But what's your opinion, David? Do you have?
What about VAR?
Yeah.
Well, I think VAR is here. It's something which it's part of the game at the moment. I think it can improve greatly. But I wouldn't be answering the question if Mick hadn't said it, I suppose. So ultimately, I think VAR's probably going to be here to stay. I think they've invested a lot of money in it. Do we think it can be better? Yeah, I do. I think everybody really feels it could be much better.
Okay, thanks, David.
Hi, David.
Hi there.
Is this almost a European playoff in some way for both teams, if you look at the table?
Well, look, you're talking about Chelsea, who, let's be fair, have been European champions, have won trophies, many more than we have. We've won one last year. So it's actually a big compliment, that, saying that we're challenging Chelsea to be a team going for Europe. Obviously, it's not the Champions League. I wish it was, but it says a lot. It says a lot that is the situation. It says a lot about West Ham. Maybe Chelsea will feel that their Champions League where they would probably hope they would be. But I think for us still to be there with 3 games to go is a great thing. And obviously, we've just come out of playing European football over the last 3 years.
You won the reverse fixture. How far do you think the West Ham team as a whole has come since that game back in August?
It was a brilliant start to the season for us. Beating Chelsea, we went away and won at Brighton as well. it was a brilliant start to the season and got us off to in a good way, especially after losing Declan as well. So I have to say that if we could pick up another 3 points here, it would be great. It's tight. We're in a good league position. We have been for most of the season. We're going to have to win some of the remaining games to stay there and hopefully maybe even jump up.
Chelsea have shown some good things in their last 2 games, but there's still a lot of speculation about Mauricio Pochettino. He always says a manager needs time. I suppose you agree with that?
Mauricio Pochettino is one of the finest managers and one of the elite coaches there is. So I don't need to talk about Mauricio because he's managed the top clubs and will continue to manage at the top clubs. And Chelsea should be really thankful they've got a top manager. And he's got a really young team and a good up-and-coming young team. Lots and lots of young players who, given time and given a little bit of encouragement, I think will improve as they go along.
And finally, when you looked at Chelsea and the squad they had at the start of the season, did you expect them to be higher than West Ham?
Well, I hoped that we'd be higher than them. That's what my big hope was. I think that because of the players they brought in, there was always that risk that it can take time to settle in new players and people blend. And I don't know the workings of Chelsea. I feel as if I'm answering questions about Chelsea, and I don't know. I'm not an expert on Chelsea, but there's been a lot of changes there, so that's probably looks the reason why maybe they've not been quite as strong this season as they have been in other years. But you have to remember they've had a semi-final of the Cup recently, and they've had a final of the Cup, so still been a good year.
Thank you, David.
A couple from BBC London.
Yeah,
Hi there.
I know we briefly mentioned Pochettino, but I was kind of wondering, he's such an experienced Premier League manager. What is it like to go up against a team managed by a coach?
Well, I've done it for many times, whether it was at Southampton or the clubs he's been at over the years, Tottenham. So he's a really nice man. He's a good coach, very good coach. So I look forward to it as always doing in the games, big games. The big clubs have big coaches, and Chelsea have got a big coach there.
Finally, just wanted to mention the news this week that clubs will be voting on a spending cap in the Premier League. You probably kind of need to read these and answer a bit more, but from the sound of it, do you feel like that would be a good idea, maybe to make transfer windows fairer or to help prevent some point deduction?
Sorry, I missed the first bit. Did you?
Premier League
Spending cap, yeah. Well, look, I've always hoped that money wouldn't be the biggest thing in football. I always hoped that that you always want to see, like Leicester City won the league a few years ago, and I think it really gave everybody the feeling that it's possible. You're seeing teams challenging for European competitions. West Ham, for example, are one we've got ourselves in Europe in the last few years. This year you're seeing Aston Villa maybe trying to make their way back into Champions League football. So I think you want football always to give teams a chance, and if it's solely down to money, then I don't know if we'd get bored with it in the end. So I hope that there is a cap. I hope there's something which does control spending in some way in the Premier League. I'm not an expert in it, so I wouldn't be able to give my advice in a way which I know would be best, but because I'm a football supporter, I'm a football man, I want football to give everybody an opportunity to hopefully have success.